I should take them everywhere with me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wouldn't that be nice? They're a good audience. They're hot. They're hot.
I'm so high. Does this go lower? No, it doesn't. Okay.
Someone make it go lower. She wants it to go lower. Make it go lower.
I'm 54. It's hard to get down sometimes. Actually, I can still get down. It's getting back up.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here.
It's so good to see you.
It's so
You
good to
look great.
see you. You do too. My
you.
God. The two of us got to meet at a New York City event supporting the arts. We were miraculously, I got to sit next to you after I changed the name cards. And here we are.
It's amazing. And I adore you. And you're so good at what you do. I love amazing, smart women. The DJ Khaled joke is everything. I am
Right back at you.
No shade, he should really get on that.
Anyway, moving on. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on this memoir. It's
Thank you.
beautifully written and so deeply honest. You talked about being asked many times before, earlier in your career, to write a book, and you didn't quite feel ready yet. What made this moment perfect for you?
Well, I thought I was ready to write about all the sort of childhood trauma and abuse and not be sort of re-traumatized and triggered. And I thought we had like a writing technique in place to help with that. But I was wrong. I was wrong, and I didn't. But I didn't want to. When I had a book deal before, I just wasn't ready to like spill. It was the beginning of Orange Is the New Black had just come out, and I just wasn't ready to like spill all my guts. And a lot of it too was out of respect for my mother. But I didn't want to write a book in BS. I wanted to write a book that was honest, vulnerable, and said what really happened in my life, and that I'm not there anymore.
Right.
That there was abuse, that there was trauma, that there was shame, that there was like gender dysphoria, and working single mom, working 4 jobs, and not ever having enough money, and all those things. But I'm not defined by those things that happened to me. I'm not defined by what people said to me and how they treated me. Because as an adult, I'm responsible for my actions now, and I'm responsible for my mental health. So I'm good. And without a test, there's no testimony. So this book is my testimony. And if anyone is going through something out there, and we all are, and particularly if people are telling you that you can't do this because you were born in a certain place, or you were born with a certain skin color, a certain gender, or ethnicity or religion, this book is about transcending what other people think about us, the limitations they put on us, the limitations society puts on us, and transcending the limitations we put on ourselves to ascend, to transcend into our anointed selves, the person that we were meant to be.
Yes. Yes.
So you want to talk details?
Yes. What was that process like to write through that? Did you find it healing? Did you find any sense of closure? Or did you find yourself getting re-pissed off?
Re-pissed off, re-traumatized, triggered. There were a few chapters where in the rewrite, like the second rewrite, I felt empowered after some of the later chapters. The childhood stuff was just gut-wrenching. And I think I actually had the aha I had today as I talked about this, is that I think because I so rarely have talked about this stuff, there's stuff that my best friends don't know, that my therapist doesn't know. So yeah, girl, we go
It is
there.
open. It is.
So I
there.
need to I think some of it's just not fully processed yet. It's not like fully out of my body, or I probably wouldn't have been so re-traumatized by it. So I have some work to do, but like sometimes who wants to like go back to the worst times in your life where you felt like worthless, and like shame is a huge part of my childhood, and trauma and abuse, and I felt like just completely unlovable, unwanted. One specific thing is that I never knew my father, and my mother did not intend to get pregnant with my brother and me. And the one time I met my father/sperm donor, I was in 3rd grade, met him for the first time, and long story short, spent one night at his house with the woman he was living with, and the next day that woman dropped my brother and me off at a police station, and we ended up in an orphanage. Read the rest in the book. It's not funny at all. It's probably the most traumatizing thing from my childhood.
Of course.
Because of the abandonment. Because if anyone knows anything about attachment theory, I didn't know if I'd ever see my mother again.
Yeah.
And I love my mother, and she, it was 3rd grade, so I was 8, 9 years old.
Oh.
So it was, and my mother had always said that, like, if you don't act right, I'm gonna put you out on the street.
Yeah.
And so after the orphanage, I was like, okay, she's not lying.
The amount of trauma and fear that a young child like that would go through, it is almost unfathomable. And
I'm smiling through it now just to kind of, not have, But yeah, it was awful, and there was just a deep sense of like being unwanted, unlovable, but God, like what's so powerful about becoming an adult, like and reading a lot. Bell Hooks, my feminist icon, feminist mother, the late great Bell Hooks, wrote in her iconic book All About Love that there's a difference between care and love. And Bell talks about her own family, that she understands that her family deeply cared for her. They provided, roof over her head, food on the table, but they didn't love her because love isn't supposed to hurt. And when I read that the first time, it hit me in my gut, and I was like, oh, that was me.
Yeah.
That was me. And that's okay, because the care helped get me to where I am now, and I'm pretty cool, I think.
Yes, you are. Yes, you
pretty
are.
Awesome.
I'll vouch for that.
And the other two things is it's never too late to have a happy childhood. There's an inner child inside of me that still needs to play, still needs to be nurtured and cared for, and I can do that now.
Yeah.
And I freaking love myself now. Not just here, but in here. And I know deeply in my core, my core's caught up, my body's caught up, that I am lovable. Yes, and I'm worthy of love because I'm a child of God, but I'm adorable.
Yes, you are.
I'm adorable.
You are damn adorable. I want to ask you about you have a twin brother, and
I have a twin
both
brother.
of you found that the arts acted as kind of an escape from what was going on at home. Talk about your connection to dance and what that meant to you growing up and how it saved your life.
Dancing was everything. So when I started walking, I started dancing, and then every time I saw a dance on TV, I would like learn the choreography, and I always had music in my head, and I danced around everywhere. When I'm 54, so back in the day, when we still had physical education in schools. Do they still? I don't.
They do.
Oh, word.
They
okay,
do.
word. I don't have kids. Hey, who knew? So we would have free play, at least in Alabama at the time, and during the free play, the kids would be doing their sports, whatever. I would be off to the side by myself dancing. I had music in my head, and I had these characters that I would express through movement, and it was my imagination, and it took me out of Alabama. I was never in Alabama. I was like, the second I knew that there was a New York, and that there was like a Broadway, and a TV, and a movie that I can perform in, that's where I was. And so I just always went someplace else. So I would use dance and music in my head to do that, and begged my mother for dance classes. And finally in 3rd grade, she found a program called Culture in Black and White, where I got to go once a week and study dance. And it was, I can't tell you how life-saving it was, because it was an outlet, it was a creative outlet. It gave me something to dream about and to have goals around, so that I was never, like the bullies, I mean, they obviously affected me. I acted at the time like they didn't, but I was like, I can't be concerned about this because I have to get to New York. I have to be a star. I don't have time for this like silly kid stuff.
Yeah.
And for creative expression, whether you want to be an artist or not, I'm like a huge advocate for arts in school and just arts for kids anyway. We know that kids who study music do better in math and science. And Brene Brown in her book, Gifts of Imperfection, says that she has 10 guideposts for wholehearted living.
Yes.
And
I've read them.
they are...
Not that I abide by them, but...
I try, but one of them is cultivating rest and play.
Yeah.
And so playing, and another one, so there's rest and play, and then there's another one that's about being creative. That being creative and just finding something to activate that part of your brain is something kind of everyone needs. And when we, I think in The Artist's Way, who's the chick who wrote The Artist's Way? Whoever she is.
Cameron?
Cameron, yeah, the Cameron chick.
Yeah.
The Cameron chick who wrote The Artist's Way says that when we move closer to our creativity, we move closer to our divinity. So creativity, being artistic, is actually something that we all have inside of us in different capacities. And it really, because I think a lot of there is a spiritual deficit, I think, going on in our country right now on a lot of different levels. And I grew up very religious. I'm not an organized religion person. Mm-hmm. As a child, I went to church every Sunday. You'll read about it in the books, and I read that Bible and I believed it, honey.
Yes.
I was quoting Bible verses. I was summarizing a Sunday school lesson in church every week. They would ask a young person every week, because I would go to Sunday school and then we'd go to the main service, who would, what did you discuss in Sunday school? What young person would like to summarize the Sunday school lesson? I was like, me. So I read that Bible,
Well, and that was going to be my question for you, growing up in the South and attending church and having to reconcile Christianity with what you were feeling inside and who you were attracted to, who you identified as. What is your relationship to faith now? How has that evolved over the years?
I like to say I left the church, but I never left God. As I became the truth. As I became more educated about religion, the history of religion, in high school and college, I was just like, this is a corrupt institution. If people, I don't poo-poo anyone's religion. I think it's a beautiful thing. If people want to practice and go to church, it was a lovely thing for me as a child. It also created a lot of shame, a lot of self-hatred. It led to a suicide attempt. But, but the personal relationship with a power greater than myself, my personal relationship with my God, my source, I've never questioned that. I've never questioned the presence of a God in my life because I have too much evidence to suggest otherwise. So I am very grateful for God's presence in my life and the clear purpose that my higher power has put me here for. And I hope, imperfectly, I will continue to be able to be of service and to live in that purpose. Hopefully this book will help, and my other work as an artist and an activist will help that.
That's what I think is so admirable about your work, is everything you do is purposeful, and it is to be in service of others. And you can feel that, and you feel that reading this book, the way that this is going to help so many people out there. I want to talk about your big break on Orange is the New Black.
Yes.
You were, yeah. You can clap. You absolutely popped off the screen on that show.
Thank you.
You stood out. And the show did give you it was a huge launching pad for you, but it wasn't just about you accepting the success of that show. You took that and you went out and you started doing speaking engagements. You turned that into a bigger opportunity for yourself. Where does that kind of drive and perseverance come from? So yes, I was when I booked Orange, I was 40 years old, and I had, I moved to New York in 1993. Orange is the New Black came out in 2013. So 20 years after I moved here,
thinking I'd be a star in 2 or 3 years tops. It was 20 years later that like the big break came. So I'd been studying the business. I had done a little TV here and there. So I studied the business part, and I'd been working on my craft. And I knew that you didn't have a lot of time, maybe. I didn't know how long. I didn't know it would be 7 seasons. I didn't know if people would like it or watch it. So I was like, anytime I had an opportunity, I was like, I'm gonna hustle. Like, I'm a New Yorker. And yes, J-Lo, I love you, girl. I was not born here, but I've lived here for 33 years. And before I moved here, I was a New Yorker. Yeah. I'm sorry. And yes. And New York is all about coming here to live your dreams. It's about, like, it's a city of immigrants. It's a city of transplants and people who come here with a dream. Anyway, you know I love you, girl. I know you. But girl, I'm a New Yorker, honey. Trust. Go Knicks. Go Knicks. But I was really clear that I may not have enough time, so I needed to capitalize and my goal was to create a brand for myself that went beyond the show. And I was also keenly aware, as a person deeply invested in the humanity of trans people and the representation of trans people, that I might be the first trans person that someone would encounter on their television. And at the time, the conversation with and about trans people in the media was not the most humanizing, not the most enlightening to allow people to see us as human beings. And so with whatever time I had and with whatever platform I had, I wanted to try to be a part of changing that conversation. And we did for a while. And then then
here we are.
And then here we are. And with a very coordinated, well-funded campaign by the right wing that was focus grouped and tested. And it is a lesson to be studied in how you systematically dehumanize an entire community and create a permission structure to take away their rights. I was on another television show a few days ago and talking about like how trans rights are being taken away. And on my Instagram, some conservative gay man, white gay man, was saying, what rights have been taken away? And he actually cut the clip where I talked about the rights that have been taken away.
I told you.
Conveniently. Yeah, like overnight, over 1,000 trans people in Kansas got their driver's license revoked because they're trans. And there's a new law that your driver's license has to reflect the gender you were assigned at birth. So overnight, no notice,
right.
No notice. Like in 30 days, your licenses are gonna, overnight, your licenses are no longer valid. You need to get a new license. How are you gonna drive to the DMV in Kansas? Do you need to Uber there? Do you need to get a friend? What if you don't have money?
Right.
We've heard about passports, and it's not just about your passport reflecting your gender identity to make you feel good, but like if I go to a foreign country that might have some questionable human rights, and they look at me and they see an M on my passport, what's going on?
Right.
You know, and it's a safety issue.
Yes.
It's a safety issue, and it also people who want to discriminate, like when you go for a job and your ID documents don't match. The history of this, like before we were able to change our ID documents, I know older trans people who they would go out and get a job, and then they would have to present their documents, and they wouldn't match who they looked like, and they would lose their job. Right. Voting. We need ID documents that reflect who we are.
That's right.
ID documents are about identity. They're not about like chromosomes or like what you were assigned at birth. It's about the person you are.
What's happening is disgusting and dehumanizing and cruel. The way that this administration is obsessed with trans issues, when it's pretty obvious that Americans care about kitchen table issues. They care about putting food on the table. They care about the price of gas. They care about health care. They care about us staying out of endless wars. Why do you think the Republican Party is so obsessed with trans issues?
Oh, girl, how much time do you have? I think, first of all, I think they're quite ambidextrous. So they're taking No, I mean, look around. I gag over how they come into office and because they're just taking trans people's rights away. If you are a black person in the South, no more Voting Rights Act. If you, like Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which has returned billions of dollars to Americans. Like, what an amazing agency that looked into corporate fraud and scams and call that out and return billions of dollars to the people.
Right.
Who gives money to actual Americans anymore? And that agency was gutted by Doge. We could go on about the damage that Doge did. So they're very ambidextrous. They're doing all these things at once. But one thing I think is that they understand that they understand that trans people are the solution, really. That if a trans person can exist and be assigned a certain gender and be born a certain way, but choose themselves and choose to live authentically beyond other people's gender expectations, if I can do it, you can do it. Everybody here can do it, whether you're trans or not. And that threatens the patriarchal structure, right? So getting trans people in line gets everybody else in line. And then, on a legal level, it actually undermines all gender protection rights, right? When we, this is a little in the weeds, but the Bostock case.
Take us there.
The Bostock case in 2020 that declared 6-3, by the way, in 2020 that said it is illegal to fire a trans or a gay person from their job for being trans or gay, which is they said it's a violation of Title VII. This is just indeed discrimination because of sex, on the basis of sex. When that was a miracle that we got that ruling in 2020. That same court is now saying that there is no discrimination on the basis of sex when it comes to transgender kids. Their logic is, well, we're discriminating against both trans girls and trans boys. When the issue is that the medication that a non-trans kid can get, like puberty blockers, if they have precocious puberty, which puberty blockers have been around since the late 70s, early 80s, if they need hormones for whatever reason, a non-transgender kid can get those. But if you're trans and you're getting hormones or puberty blockers to treat gender dysphoria, you can't. But the Supreme Court said that's not discrimination. But what happens there is that ultimately, much of the precedent that allowed us to win in 2020 was about sex stereotypes. There's a case called Price Waterhouse versus somebody. I'm an actress.
I was going to say, I knew the artist's way answer. I can't help you with that one.
Price Waterhouse. So a woman was denied a promotion, I think in the late 80s, early 90s. She was denied a promotion because she was too masculine, didn't dress feminine enough, and was too aggressive. And they told her this. She sued. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they said, this is a violation of Title VII because it's discriminating against her based on sex stereotypes. There had been a precedent over the years, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, some of her best work, saying that sex stereotypes, basically meaning if you're a person assigned female at birth, you're supposed to act this way and look this way. If she were a man with dressing the same way and acting the same way, she wouldn't have been fired. So that is discrimination because of sex. And so then if so in the Bostock case, and Amy Stevens, who was the trans woman in that case, she was fired because she was trans. She wrote a letter saying, I'm transitioning, and they fired her, cut and dry. The logic there is, well, if you are assigned male at birth, you need to come to work dressed as a male, presenting as a male, and that's a sex stereotype, so that's actually discrimination because of sex. But the sports case that's going to come down probably in a few weeks from the Supreme Court is probably going to ban trans girls from sports. Gender affirming care basically has been banned, well, at least they didn't make it sweeping. The good thing about the Scrimeti case is it wasn't sweeping across the country. It was just in that particular state. I think it was Tennessee. But I say all of that to say these court decisions and so much of what they're doing to attack trans people, mainly trans women, negatively affects all women.
That's right.
All women. It erodes the protections that we've gotten through the courts in Title VII and those precedents. And even with bathrooms, with the bathroom bans, all the viral videos we see of people being accosted in bathrooms because there's literally bounties on people's heads in like states like, again, Kansas. If you see somebody who is in the wrong bathroom, you can report them and get a reward or something.
Horrific.
And every time you see a viral video, it's actually not a trans person, it's actually a cis woman, a non-trans woman who's kind of butch or doesn't fit someone's idea of what it means to be a woman. There was one video, it's a black woman, and she was like in the stall doing her business, and they were not banging on the door with a phone. And you need to get out of here. And she comes out of the stall and she pulls up her shirt to show her breast. She had a bra on, but she shows her, I'm a woman. And like, these people were, so this is bad for all women.
Yes.
It's bad for all
Yes, it
women.
is.
And that is the point. That is the point. In a fascist society, we need the patriarch. Fascism needs the patriarch, needs that dear leader. And so it needs to reinstate a sort of kind of patriarchal frame to sustain itself. And, you know, Jason Stanley, How Fascism Works. I don't use the term fascism loosely. He like outlines, do your homework, he outlines, you know, 10 things that all things need to be present for a fascist state to exist. If you read his book, you'll discover that all 10 things are here.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
I wanted to get to the end and be surprised.
I know, right? But, and I think, we can talk forever, but I think the biggest thing around this political piece is that, like, more than anything right now, and I feel emboldened and
Yes.
simultaneously scared and emboldened because we have a punitive regime right now, but we need the truth now more than ever.
Yes, we do.
Like, untruth is one of the tools of fascism.
That is the truth.
We need to be able to call a thing,
Yeah.
be able to say objectively, empirically, that this is happening and this is what it is. And all of the obfuscation, I mean, God, don't get me started on the Supreme Court, and racism in this country. But we need to be able to call a thing a thing.
Yes.
And so we're in a really precarious moment right now, but I believe that we're all waking up and that citizens of this country are seeing very clearly what is happening, how their lives are not being made better by this regime. And I hope that we'll like register to vote and turn out in record numbers to beat the rigging that they're trying to do. And I hope that we can get representatives into Congress who will fight and who
sure hope
understand
so.
the stakes.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't, but I hope we can get people in who will fight and understand the stakes, that our democracy is at stake, that our basic freedoms are at stake. Bankruptcies for family farms went up 46% last year.
God.
46%. Anyway.
We're in the middle. We're right smack dab in the middle of Pride.
Yes.
There are a lot.
Other things are true.
There are a lot of young folks out there who may have experienced some of the pain that you went through as a young person.
Yeah.
What would you tell them right now in this moment in time?
I would tell them, do not be afraid. There is love in the world. Because some parents are supportive, some aren't. If you don't have a supportive parent, maybe be careful online, but maybe there's a support group. You don't have to meet people in person. Maybe there's a support group or a local LGBTQ center where you can get support and find help. You don't have to, you're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. You are made exactly the way you're supposed to be, and your transness, your gayness, your lesbianism, your bisexuality, these are all divine, beautiful things that should be celebrated, and you should be celebrated. That doesn't mean you don't need to work hard, make good grades,
That's right.
and do what you got to do to, like, work hard. But you deserve to be here, and you're beautiful and worthy because you are a child of God. So hold on, and have a vision that is bigger than these circumstances. Remember, like, this too shall pass, but for me, having something to work towards, setting concrete goals around getting the F out of Alabama and to New York, wanting to be a star, and then like in the arts, and having something that I could work on and work towards and get good at. It kept, in so many ways, the things affected me, but like I was so focused on being the very best I could, making all A's. And it was, there's issues with that. I'm in therapy though, I'm working on it. Because my identity was defined by what I did, not by who I was. But the good thing about that is that I found a love. I found a love of learning. I found a love of study that I have to this day. And I understand, because I know my history as a Black person, as Black American, as a trans person, that I come from anointed stock. My ancestors and transcestors died for me to have this moment that I get to live in right now, which is remarkable. And even as this regime is like, literally stripping us of rights, these things are being challenged in the courts. By the grace of God, I'm still here. Right. I watched the Tonys the other night, and there were trans folks all over the place.
Yes.
There are trans folks on runways, and the genie's out of the bottle.
Yep.
If you are a young trans person and you know that you exist and that you have a right to be here and that actualizing your full self is possible, you can't put that genie back in the bottle.
That's right.
You can't.
That's right. Oh, I just adore you so much. Thank you for being here. Congratulations on your book. Thank you for all of the work you do. This world is a better place because you are living authentically in it. Thank you for what you do, and congratulations on everything.
Thank you.